the skills that you train people for in school don't exist in the job market. It's like blindly follow orders, don't speak up, betray your colleagues, don't teamwork, keep quiet, be very, very afraid of making a mistake. The fastest way to learn any skill is to do it, fail, and then get feedback. I want to start a business that helps people using neuroscience, which is basically exactly what I'm doing right now. So I'm living my dream, sort of. Everybody has some sort of unfair advantage. And my unfair advantage is that my parents are business owners in Vienna and they just know a lot of people. And I was just like, I'm looking for adventures. When I arrived in Senegal, I realized, okay, there is this huge protest against the president. I was nearly arrested by the police in Gambia because they thought I was a foreign spy.
Hi, Ron, and welcome to the Naked Thoughts podcast. Today I sit with Lennard.
Nice to meet you.
Lennard, you are a very young entrepreneur. When did you find out that the usual path is not what you're going to do?
I figured it out at a very young age because my parents are entrepreneurs. They run a business that sells and produces stuff for children, so strollers. Beds, clothing, everything, toys. And I always knew that I wanted to do something in this direction. I didn't know what exactly, but I always wanted to be in business, wanted to found something myself.
Yeah.
That was like always on the agenda. Like when I was, I don't know, 10 or something.
Okay, wow. That's very young.
I mean, maybe not like very clearly, but I always I always knew like this is so fascinating. I always listened to my parents talk at the dinner table and stuff. And it was always very, very, very interesting what they told me. I mean, they have like 30 employees and what's going on in that business, even though it's like quite small, like it's fascinating.
Yeah.
And that also kind of like prompted me to go into business school, like business high school, Vienna business school. There I had some classmates who were very entrepreneurial minded and who started doing dropshipping when we were 15, 16. So I did that. I started with actually dropshipping.
How did that turn out?
I sold two pieces to the same woman in Salzburg, I think. And it was about these, air tags, these tracking devices. Mm-hmm. And it was about selling the keychain things where you can put it on your keychain. Okay. Wasn't very successful. So I sold two pieces. I made like 18 euros or something. And now I have a printout on my wall still of the first order.
How did like growing up in such an entrepreneurial environment change you in how you think, how you see things, especially comparing yourself to your colleagues who at school, at university?
It's a very good question because you don't notice that as a kid. Mm-hmm. But further down the line, it's like, not everybody can ask their dad how to do a employment contract for them. Mm-hmm. So like I recently hired my first fix employee. Yeah. And I was just telling my dad, like, hey, I'm hiring my first employee, Vanessa, she's great. And my customer success manager, he was like, hey, yeah, sure, I have a template, send it over. And so in the matter of 2 days, I had the contract. Mm. Whereas if my parents would have been some non-business workers, then I wouldn't have that expertise. Yeah. Also, I think something that's very interesting is to see how somebody behaves, not just the factual knowledge, but also to see how they are with employees, how they talk to employees, how they make a meeting, how they set goals for the company. So that taught me a lot of what to do and what not to do, because I would have done things very differently. But it's just this, every time I talk to a person who goes into business and did not have parents who are business owners, I'm like, I had this huge kind of like launch pad and some people didn't. And that's what I'm currently like realizing like I have this fundamental things that not everybody has, which are super, super valuable.
Yeah.
And now I'm slowly finding out how important they really are.
Do you think if you hadn't been growing up in such an entrepreneurial mindset, like in the household with your parents, do you think that you would have started the entrepreneurial journey anyway? Or
I think if you take anybody, if you would take Caesar and put him in a, I don't know, consulting company now, he would not be a great conqueror. Or if you would take Napoleon and put him into trade, for example, at the same time, with the same knowledge, with the same body, with the same brain, he would turn out very, very differently. He would not be a great conqueror. Yeah. Because I think who you are is shaped by your environment, of course. It's like a gene-environment interaction, right? So your genes are being modified as you live, and therefore your identity changes with experience. And I'm not sure. Maybe, but I think it's very unlikely if your environment does not push you in a certain direction. Yeah. It's just not in the back of your mind that you can even do this. Then it's very hard to actually be able, okay, this is something people do. This is a realistic thing to achieve, like starting a company.
Yeah. I mean, this is maybe something that a lot of people are struggling with. Like if they don't have like the background, the knowledge or from the early age on. And also like you said, also if you grow up in that kind of environment, especially in the beginning, your environment defines you, like the people around define who you end up more or less. Of course, you can change, you can always change, but certain things are very hard to change. From your point of view, was it, besides this entrepreneurial spirit you always had, was there something else, like, I don't know, curiosity, money, fame?
Yeah. I think one thing that people not always, but ask me a lot of times is, okay, Lennard, why are you doing this? Why don't you just chill? Why don't you just live life? Kind of like be a student, enjoy your 20s. I'm like, for the life of me, I cannot do anything else besides entrepreneurship. Like, this is, for me, like, I'm a very curious, adventure-driven, ambitious person. And there is just nothing else, like no other job that could fulfill my goals in various areas of life. So yes, I want to become rich. Yes, I want to become very successful. And I also want to have a huge impact on the world, actually deliver some value. I want to work like I want to, like not have as much free time as I want to, because that is not possible as an entrepreneur, but to work in a way that you find to be meaningful. Because a lot of times if you are in an organization and somebody else tells you how to do stuff, it's not optimal for you. And in my company, I can just say like, hey, we're doing this way. We are holding meetings this way. So it is optimal for me. And therefore I enjoy working more and more. And there's just no other job that would fulfill all the, like, there's just no other job that would tick off all the boxes.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like forced into that, sort of.
Did you ever feel ahead of your environment?
Yes. This is why I wanted to study at Harvard. That was my original plan. Not to be an entrepreneur instantly, but to first study at Harvard, do a degree in neuroscience, and then start a business that helps. Like I wrote in my Harvard essay, I want to start a business that helps people using neuroscience, which is basically exactly what I'm doing right now. So I'm living my dream, sort of. But that was my original plan, exactly because I felt like, hey, people around me are not as ambitious as me. And I felt like that was holding me back a lot.
Mm-hmm. Was there anything else? Was there like, I don't know, weren't you afraid of something like failing, for example?
That's the thing. Like, a lot of people, like, I also have some entrepreneurial friends, and they're like, oh no, what is when this all doesn't work out and stuff? And I'm like, 21. I cannot fail. If everything comes crashing down, I know for a fact that I can live for $3 a day in Senegal and have a very good life. There is no kind of like rock bottom. Even if I lose everything, I can still hitchhike to Morocco and then live there. Like because I've done that. Like I've after school, I went to Africa for half a year, lived on basically nothing and did volunteering. So I know that I don't need a lot of material stuff. So there's not actually any risk involved because I have nothing to lose.
Still, you could go back to a normal job for a while or whatever if necessary.
Sure.
But why did you decide to go to Africa?
Because I love a challenge. And after submitting my application to Harvard, I had half a year until it would start. I thought, okay, I want to do something awesome. I want to do a journey because that is, I actually talked to a lot of people. I even talked to people on the streets, talked to a lot of people in my family. And I asked them like, hey, what did you do after school? And what do you wish you would have done? Mm-hmm. And it was always traveling. So I thought, okay, there must be something.
Yeah.
And so I did traveling. And I was very fortunate that my family travel focused. Mm-hmm. They love traveling. So I went a lot of places, but not to West Africa, for example.
Yeah.
So I haven't been there. So the choice was between Africa, like Sub-Saharan Africa, and South America. But I don't speak Spanish and I speak some French. So the choice was quite easy. I went to Africa, did teaching. I worked on a farm in Senegal, for example. I taught in Ghana. And I was just like, I'm looking for adventures. That's why I also didn't plan a lot. And actually, when I arrived in Senegal, I realized, okay, there is this huge protest against the president. So they were trying to overthrow the government when I arrived. So the town was like, so the capital city was like erupting in protests, and people with machine guns were like sitting on trucks going around the city, like police in military trucks. And I took the quickest bus to the countryside, and all the streets were like blocked because of the rebels. So we have to go to the jungle and stuff.
What was your goal behind all of this? Why doing that? Of course, traveling, but was there something else? And what were afterwards your biggest learnings that you could also apply to your life, to entrepreneurship, to whatever?
That's a good question. If a lot of people say something, it should be considered. And I knew that there is something with traveling after school. And I didn't know specifically what I would gain from that, but I knew that it was important because a lot of people talked about it. And all the people that did actually travel, they told me it was amazing. And so I did it, and I ended up learning a lot of things. And for example, I know for a fact that I can literally live with nothing. I lived with a Senegalese family. They didn't have running water. They didn't have a toilet. It was 40 degrees. So I worked on a farm, kind of like sowing potatoes and stuff. I think that also gives me a lot of security because I know that if everything doesn't work out, then I can live with very little and still be content. So that's one of the biggest learnings. Also, I went there completely alone. So just being alone for a certain period of time gives you a lot of time for thinking. I feel like in the Western world don't really get, because at times I was sitting on the bus for like 8 hours and didn't have Wi-Fi, couldn't do anything. So I was just sitting there and looking out of the window for like 4 hours. And there I kind of unlocked the skill of thinking, of really contemplating deeper into what do I want out of life, what do I future as reality, sort of. That makes sense. I think those are the two biggest things. Also, a third one is my people skills just got like way better. I mean, I spent time with so many different people. I visited a witch doctor, for example. I was nearly arrested by the police in Gambia because they thought I was a foreign spy.
Okay.
So they kind of they briefly arrested me, and I had to give them my fingerprints, my passport. They did mug shots of me and stuff. And I thought oh fuck, this is it. And yeah, I talked to people who told me that they have some special powers, that they, for example, cannot be cut by a knife. For example, one student in Ghana told me hey, he literally handed me a knife and said, sir, cut me, I cannot be cut. I was like, what? So
did you do
things. No, of course not. But things like that, you don't really get to experience here.
No, of course.
That also made me way more open-minded. If there is a crazy person in the street in Vienna, I'm
yeah.
I've seen way crazier people.
Yeah, no, totally. If you would have asked me on the street, I probably would have said the same, or more or less the same, because I think traveling alone, it teaches you so much about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least, I don't know, spending time alone and think without smartphone, without
mm-hmm.
internet or whatever. Since we are connected all the time, we usually don't do that that much. And after your journey, coming back to Austria, how did you start with your project of Brainstorming?
That is a very good question, because while in Africa, so what you have to know about, there are some stereotypes about African people not working, and I feel like they are sort of true at times, mm-hmm. at least in the communities where I was. There's just less energy and less willingness to do hard things.
Okay.
I feel like simple things like I was supposed to meet a guy and go fishing with him, and I arrived at his house, and he was and his wife was he's not there. I was like, what? Why? And just a bit more laid back, a bit more enjoying life. Sort of the culture is just different. And this was a complete, this was nice in the beginning, and to just get a lot into thinking, but then it kind of starved me mentally. So I ended up actually in Africa thinking about what I want to do next, brainstorming projects, and thinking about what skills do I have, how I can provide value to other people. I first thought about writing a book about the topic that I do now.
Yeah.
Helping people to learn more effectively. And when I came back, I was like, okay, this is now completely clear. I have to start a business, because I am if for a certain period of time there is no motion forward, I just get super unhappy and super misaligned, and I really feel it. And also all the people around me told me hey, Lennard, is everything okay? And it was just me not having a project. It was just me not striving for something. Yeah. And then when I found it, it immediately switched again.
Maybe, sorry to interrupt you here, but that could be important, because I think many people want to create something, want to build something, but they don't know what. In your case, how did you find the thing? How did you, analyze all the strength and what do you like, what you don't like, and decided to go for that one thing? How was the process?
So maybe for the listeners and viewers, short context, what I do, I help children from 10 to 18 or students from 10 to 18 to study more effectively using techniques from neuroscience. And I've been doing that for roughly 2 years, or 1.5 maybe, 1.5. And we've helped over 100 students so far, every student worldwide to know how to learn, actually. First the German market, and then Europe, and then worldwide, sort of. And how I came up with this idea, the first thing that I knew was I want to start a business. That was clear. Mm-hmm. Then I looked at feasible things, like what am I good at? What can I actually sell? Because I feel like a lot of people try to start a business around something that they would need to learn first. And I think the easiest way is to like, hey, I have these skills. How can I provide value to other people so that they would actually pay money for that? For example, if you are very good at interviewing people, or you're very good at presenting, you can teach people how to present. If you are good at speaking, you can teach people how to speak. I think the easiest thing to start is a service-based business where you teach other people a skill that you already have. When I came back from Africa and I was brainstorming all the ideas, the idea that I almost started was a online shop for medical supplies, essentially, like for doctors' offices where they can buy like single-use gloves and sanitization creams and this stuff, toilet paper. I almost started that. And I was like, yes, I wrote it down, how much I would need to sell, wrote an entire marketing strategy. Then I talked to my parents about it and they were like, you really want to sell toilet paper? And I was like, yeah. I think it's also a thing, like you have to like the industry. You don't have to be in love, but I have no idea about medical supplies. I'm not really passionate about medical supplies. So I think that would have been a very hard business to run. Then I was like, hey, okay, what skills do I have? And maybe for the viewers, listeners, the way I came up with my current business is I wanted to study at Harvard and was really bad in school. So I did a lot of research and tried a lot of things for like 2 years and built my own like learning system, which got me like a 1.0 GPA, which is straight A's, I think. And I did the SAT test for the American universities. I had a score of like 1530 out of 1600, which is like almost max. Not really, but like it's even above Harvard level. I still didn't get in. I was rejected from Harvard. And now I study a program which also just has a 6% acceptance rate. And I think the thing that prompted me most to actually feel like, hey, this is something people need, is that I almost failed a class because of maths. And on the SAT, I nearly had full points on the math part. Then I was like, fuck, this is awesome. It's not about me because I don't have any talent for math. It's about the actual system. Then I realized, hey, this could be something other people need.
But how did you find out about the system?
First of all, I stumbled upon like, hey, there is some research regarding learning. I was like 16, 15. I was always interested in how the brain works, psychology, neuroscience, behavior research. It just popped up on my feed like, hey, use this learning method. And I was like, learning method? What? There are learning methods? And then I dove very deep into the topic and found out like there is so much science dating back like 200 years, which tells you exactly what to do and what not to do in studying. So I basically just used that. And my grades just started improving so much. And I tweaked it so it actually fits a student, like a high school student, because there are a lot of techniques that are useful, but not for high school students because they have very unique limitations. They can only study very little per day. They are usually very tired after coming home from school. So building a system that really works for high school students. And then I tested, and then I got a 1.0 GPA.
At what point of time did you see, okay, this is something I can offer on a broader level? Because I don't know, the education system is obviously not the best one.
Starting the business, I already knew that there is a huge market because people who live at the sea and don't know how to swim, it's obvious that they need swim training. Things like learning techniques, every student in the world needs to learn stuff they are not taught how to learn. So I was going into the business already knowing that there is a huge market. If there would not have been, then I would not have gone into that business. Because as I said earlier, what you do has to align with your goals. And if you have big goals, your business has to align to that. Like there are some markets where you can, I don't know, make 100K a month or a year. And that may be enough for some people. But I was like, no, I want to go very big. Therefore, I need a big market.
Did you really consider, did you think about really, okay, the market should be as big as possible? Or was it more like that, okay, this is something that makes totally sense, and I just go for it. Or did you have already this strategy in your head and this?
I think I was thinking that it was a fit because I knew that there was a big market. So I think I didn't do a market analysis. Like that is not something that I did. But I just had in the back of my mind, okay, check mark, this is a big market. Or this actually makes sense and a lot of people actually need it. I think it was just subconsciously. I mean, also a thing that I have to note, I was in business education for 5 years before starting a business. Plus my parents are entrepreneurs. So I had a lot of like business stuff ingrained already into me before I actually started. So I think I've had it in the back of my mind.
In general, what do you think is the problem when we talk about the educational system? I mean, of course, we have all our experiences, and I think everybody knows that it's not perfect for everyone.
Where should I start? No, it is the most terrible system because, I mean, every system is trying to achieve something to get to a certain goal. And the education system, or at least what I believe, the education system is there to make students or kids be better adapted to the real world, to work a good job, to live a good life. The way how school does it is by teaching you factual knowledge and then testing you on it. So they have proof that you actually know it. And then they think this will make you a better human, make you more successful in the job and make you more successful in life. But it doesn't work because life and jobs don't work like that. It's like, hey, I want to prepare you to be a very good mountain biker. But the only thing you can do is to look at mountain bikers. You don't actually get to mountain bike yourself. You just need to look at mountain bikers. And then one day, when you're done with school, you just put on a mountain bike and then you should be perfect. So you're put into the job market and then you should do something. That's not how learning works. So I think a fundamental problem with education is that it's a problem with every sort of education. Even if you look at the online space, even if you look at professional education, it's like they try to teach skills by teaching knowledge, but that doesn't work. The fastest skill, the fastest way to learn any skill is to do it, fail, and then get feedback. If you look actually what happens in the brain while you learn something, is that you try something, then if you fail, you get punished, so you feel bad. And then when you are exposed to the new information, how it's done correctly, if somebody tells you something, gives you feedback, or you see the right solution, then your brain kind of like clings onto that information because it doesn't want to fail again.
Yeah.
And if you just put the information out there, there is no reason for the brain to remember it. Yeah, that is why learning without constant failure, constant trying, like trying is learning. No trying, no learning. And I think the fundamental problem with the education system is that it doesn't actually teach you the things that you need to live a better life and be successful in the job market, which is communication skills, thinking out of the box, thinking creatively, creative problem solving, working with people. And school does a very good job to, for example, prepare you for the military. This is what school was designed for. I mean, the Austrian education system is modeled was invented by Maria Theresia, right? She modeled it after a Prussian military school because all the Prussian soldiers, they were better educated, they were better soldiers, so they defeated the Austrians in the war. Yeah. It was 18-something. So Maria Theresia was like, hey, I want better soldiers. So she ended up putting all kids in school, which is actually a system modeled after a military academy.
Yeah.
So it's a great tool how to educate somebody for the military, but not for jobs and not for life.
Yeah.
So I think that is the problem.
Would you say that it's simply outdated or really fundamentally wrong?
It doesn't make any sense fundamentally. Like, even in the past, the skills that you train people for in school don't exist in the job market. It's like blindly follow orders, don't speak up, betray your colleagues, don't teamwork, which is the most terrible part. If you teamwork in school, you're punished. Keep quiet, be very, very afraid of doing a mistake, making a mistake. Yeah. It's like, I think these are the most terrible lessons you can ever teach anybody about if they want to be successful. Even 100 years back, they still needed successful tradespeople and successful businessmen and lawyers and doctors. And I think they would all have been, I think the productivity of the entire world would have been fundamentally different and fundamentally better if school would not actually discourage creative thinkers, people who want to work in a team, who are good communicators. But school rewards the quiet, follows orders, narrow mindset people. And Einstein, for example, nearly failed the class, or failed the class once, I think, because he was, and then he turned out to be one of the greatest physicists of all time.
If you could change, or if you could implement one law for the educational system, let's say here in Austria, what would it be?
That's a very good question. I think there are so many things that you could change, but I feel like the most important things are, I mean, what is great about the education system, it gets kids of the same age together, which is extremely important for them to learn how to be human and how to interact socially, which is extremely important. Very good. I think where you have to change things first is in things they do inside the classroom, like how tasks are done, how assessment is done. And I think especially in how to train teachers. Yeah. Because most teachers have no idea what's going on. They are not actually pedagogues. They are just lecturers. Most teachers actually fit into uni, but not into school. Because school is not about actually teaching you the actual knowledge. You can look that up you can ask ChatGPT, you can ask Cloud. Like that doesn't even matter. It's like how to think, how to solve problems. Yeah. I think if you would change the way like children are exposed to challenges and new information, then that would change everything.
Could you maybe explain how exactly you are now helping kids on students in the learning process? And also maybe outline also the further goal by changing the educational system?
So I'm not myself changing the educational system, like I'm not in policy yet, maybe in the future. But how I'm helping students right now, I'm teaching them all the tools they need to know to learn faster. A few things that you just need to know about learning that makes it 10 times more effective. So I teach them the methods. I don't teach them math, science, English. I teach them how to learn math yourself, how to get really good at math yourself. Because I think every student can get straight A's. Like every student has the mental capacity. There's just something holding them back. Like it's either methods or concentration or social pressure that they are afraid of actually speaking up and raising their hand because they're afraid of the teacher punishing them. So there's always something holding them back. And what I do, I figure out what is holding the students back and then help them overcome these things. I teach them the methods. I give them the methods. I give them a strategy how to plan ahead for your tests. I even give them strategies on how to get the teacher to like you more. Because I was a teacher in Ghana and there were so many lessons that I had coming from the teacher side. I think the most important stuff is the methods, mindset, because a lot of students, they don't want to be great at things, because that is also a thing about school. Being very good in something is not rewarded. Like you get a 1. Yeah. But there is a huge difference between ones, right? There is people who are barely making it, and there are students who are so good, they should be in another class. And school teaches you to focus on the things you're not good at. But that is a terrible lesson. It's a terrible lesson for life. Like if I would focus on the things that I'm not good at, like data analytics, math, computer science, I would never actually do what I'm doing now. Something that I'm good at, that I like, talking to people, teaching people, researching neuroscience, making content, helping people, having a real impact.
So more focusing on developing their strength.
Yeah, that should be the goal of the education system. Actually, a lot of companies actually do that. For example, Palantir. I recently a guy from Palantir visited WU, my university, and gave a talk. And he was like, they spend 1 year just on figuring out what you're really good at and then going all in on that.
Yeah.
And I think that is what school should be about, to find out what kids like and what they're good at. And of course, giving them a basis in every subject, but like enabling them to do things that they actually like and are good at. And I think this would be a tremendous benefit for society as a whole.
Maybe coming back to your business, I would be interested in knowing, how did you actually start and how did you get client? What worked for you best for growing your business?
I can give you the exact step-by-step. I'm not hiding anything. There is a book that is called Unfair Advantage. And I believe that I think it's a great lesson. Everybody has some sort of unfair advantage. And my unfair advantage is that my parents are business owners in Vienna, and they just know a lot of people. So their network. And I actually used that. So I found out there is this Facebook group of moms in Vienna. It's called Wiener Wunderweiber. And I found out by accident that my mom is a part of this group.
Okay.
So what I did to get my first clients, I just filmed myself talking about what I do. I help students. I figured out this learning system. I nearly got into Harvard. I got this great SAT scores and stuff. If that sounds interesting, book a call with me. We talk. And then I got like 10 clients from that, just from this one video.
How long did that take?
To make that video?
No, the 10 clients, like 1 day or 1 week?
I think it was in a span of like 2 weeks.
Okay.
And actually, it's funny because I still from that group get clients. Like I had a woman come to me yesterday from exactly that group.
Yeah.
And from that one video, it's sort of like
so
still compounded.
You put the video into the group, and from there it started off.
Then it started. Before that, I tested the system with two, the friend of the brother of a friend of mine, and the daughter of friends of my parents. So that is what I would really recommend if you have a service or a product, then test it with people.
Yeah.
This was huge because I completely changed my program twice while working with these two test clients. And then it was 10 times better when I actually started selling.
Yeah.
From this one video, I got 10 clients, or even more, like 15 or something. I was fulfilling them. I was teaching the students. I was getting them better grades. But then I was maybe too overwhelmed or maybe too complacent. But I was actually just working on the program and working on helping the students, not on growing the business. So what happened? I made a huge revenue spike. In the first months, or from these 15 clients, I made like around maybe 10K, 12K or something.
Yeah.
That was like, oh, I made so much money. I was like blown away. But yeah, then I forgot actually to figure out how to consistently get leads. So I was basically then in September running out of clients, and I was like, what do I do next? And then by complete accident, I wanted to work with a friend of mine. He has a similar business for students, not quite, but similar. I want to work together with him. He moved to Canada for an exchange semester, and he was like, time difference.
Yeah.
I have other priorities. It doesn't work. But I refer you a friend of mine who is a business coach.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to him. Maybe you want to work with him. So what I basically did, I talked to that guy and I was immediately sold. I was like, that guy is awesome. I'm going to work with that guy. And over the next 3 months, I think until November, I completely changed my business. I made the business because beforehand I was just a person doing services, but then it started to be actually a business. I started doing content. Every day I still upload one reel every day on Instagram and TikTok.
Do you think it's important, like to, of course, consistency is key in this way, but is it important, like to really upload something every day, or what is your strategy or your advice?
I think it depends extremely on what you're trying to achieve. There are so many different things you can do with social media. If this is your business card and you just use it to show to people, for them to understand what you're doing, then you don't need to post. You can post once a week. But if you try to get new clients, to get new people to know about your product, I think you should post at least once a day. Because I feel like every video has a certain likelihood of going viral. And if you increase the number of videos, your total likelihood of going viral increases.
Yeah. Okay.
Also, there is a funny quote. You don't know quality until you do quantity. So if you haven't done 100 videos, you have no clue what you're talking about. Because the repetition, as I said, learning, you learn the fastest if you execute, look at the data, what happened, and then reiterate. And that's the cool thing with social media. You get the feedback on the next day immediately. You immediately get, okay, this video performed very well. Then you analyze it and you know what to do next. Or this video performed shit and you know what not to do next. Yeah. Depends on what you do.
Was there something you underestimated on this whole entrepreneurial journey?
Something that I underestimated. I think positively, like in the positive sense, I underestimated how quickly you are able to change as a person in a positive way. Because I thought, okay, it's not possible to work 8 hours a day. I was completely on that biohacking optimization trip, and Andrew Huberman told me to not work and stuff. We always do a deep rest protocol in the afternoon. I was like super on that. Everything has to be hyper efficient.
Maybe you should go also a Whoop.
Yeah, I actually got an Aura ring.
Okay. Fair enough.
And I was like, okay, this is not possible. I just cannot do this. And my business coach was like, what are you talking about? Like, just work. And I realized that after some time, at first it was really hard. At first it was like the first maybe month when I was working with my current coach, David. It was like, why are you pushing me so much? Whoa, this is way too much. And then it was like, okay, easy. I work 10 hours a day. It's fine. And I underestimated like how quickly I was able to adapt.
Okay.
Also now, like I have employees, and it's like, okay, I have employees.
You still talk to him?
Yeah, I know he's not coaching me anymore. He's more of a partner in the business. So it actually helps me to implement that, implement things, write ads for me and stuff. We do that on a revenue share basis. So he's like a growth partner for me. As I said, suddenly you're a business owner and suddenly you have employees. Like what? And you're able to adapt to that super quickly because you have to. And you just do. And then you figure out what worked, what didn't work, and then you just iterate.
We have more or less reached the end of the episode. Unfortunately, although I really enjoy this episode and the chat we are having.
Thank you very much.
Before going to the studio, or before entering the studio, you mentioned the rapid fire shots. So now we have exactly reached that point.
Yes.
So I will give you like 5 questions.
Okay. And I need to answer super quickly.
Yeah, like as briefly as possible. Question number 1: what is the best advice you have ever received?
I don't have one. maybe just do it.
On the other hand, what's the worst advice you've ever received?
I think financial advice, you should never take financial advice from people who are not at the financial level you want to be at. This is terrible. Also, like societal norms, or everybody does it like this, or or you don't, like, something that is very weird is like, don't do business with friends.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, don't do business with friends if you're an asshole and you're trying to scam that person. Do business with friends when you actually believe that that person gets value from what you do, and you get value from that what the person does.
Yeah.
Right. So I think you need to be very careful about business or financial advice from people who don't do business or are very rich.
Okay. What are you currently struggling the most?
What am I struggling with the most? I feel like right now I'm not really struggling with anything specific. I think the most is I have this really big goal to get to 1 million in revenue this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, how am I going to figure that out? Because I had a dip in sales because of a technical issue from content and conversion in the sales cycle. I'm like, okay, I really need to do this. Just figuring out how to do that as quickly as possible. Yeah. I think you always want to, maybe as a takeaway, I think you always want to grow too fast. And you have this big goal, but actually to take a step back and figure out, like, hey, what are the steps? What are the goals between to get to that big goal? You have to figure out small goals. I think that is like maybe long-term planning.
To take yourself a bit back and then see that you're, well, still on the right path, but, or maybe redirect that path, whatever it is. What would you tell somebody who is afraid to start their business, to do the first step?
Just do it. There is no risk. Like, for everybody in the Western world, there is no risk. Like, anyone who tells you there is any risk involved in business, I mean, if you have to invest 100K into starting a business, then don't do it first. Or I would not recommend it as the first business. Second of all, you can start a business with zero money. Everybody can start a business with zero money. Go on the internet and look up ways how to make money. It's literally that easy. Thing is, not starting a business is actually way riskier than starting a business, because if you don't start a business, you have a very specific skill set. You're trained on a very specific skill set. For example, if you go into consulting, you have a very specific skill set, or you're being trained to be a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer. And the likelihood that this specific skill set will be replaced in the next 5 years is, in my opinion, almost 100%. But the likelihood of every skill set to be replaced is, I think, zero. So an entrepreneur is nothing else than a person who has a diverse skill set and can therefore deliver a value that not many people can deliver. That's why you can earn so much money. And I think it is basically not putting your eggs in one basket. Yeah. It's basically diversifying your risk, like in investing, but just investing time into learning a skill.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest takeaway. Like, if you think it's risky, it's not risky. Like, you can move in with your parents again. It's no issue.
And my last question.
Yes.
If we take away entrepreneurship, what would still give meaning to your life?
I think to have a good life, a lot of things need to be in place. Like, of course, you need health, good relationships. And I really, really believe that you need something that you strive for. Mm-hmm. I think if you don't, then you're lacking something. And if you don't feel like you're lacking something, I think you're lying to yourself. So I would immediately find something else, a vision that I can strive towards. Like, either, I don't know, if that business is taken away from you for some reason, then I would immediately start a new one. Yeah. Or go to the place where I can have the most impact with my work and be the closest to the actual success. Because what I really, really don't like is, that's why I can never imagine myself working in a big company or for somebody else, is that I'm removed from my own actions. If I deliver 100%, somebody else gets the returns. If I deliver 15%, somebody else needs to deal with it. So I'm not sure if that is it's a great answer, but figuring something out that I want to strive for. Maybe become an author.
Yeah.
I can imagine myself doing that. But again, authors who will not exist anymore because of AI. Yeah.
Well, but still figuring something out that I guess that fulfills you. And well, thank you so much. It was a really, really great conversation. I wish I would have had more time. But I think we still have a lot of topics to discuss. But maybe we can do another episode.
I'd love to
in the future.
I'd love to. Yeah.
And thank you so much for coming. And to the audience, thank you for watching. I will drop the links of Lennard below, so you can follow him on Instagram, on YouTube, and maybe also book a class with him if you are studying on something.
I'll always be happy to share.
Thanks for watching, and see you soon.